Hello and welcome to this Country Financial IHSA Vintage Volleyball broadcast. My name is Kurt Gibson. I work on the administrative staff at the Illinois High School Association, and in this broadcast, the 1981 IHSA Girls Volleyball Class AA Championship between Mother McAuley and Orland Park Sandburg will be featured. The 1981 championship game was a back and forth match between two evenly matched and very well coached teams, and it marked the second of three consecutive undefeated championship seasons for the Mighty Macs. Joining me today to offer their reflections on the game are two of the standout performers from the contest. From Mother McAuley, we have Therese Boyle-Nigo. Hello, Therese. Thanks for joining us. And from Sandburg, we have Julie Maginot Fahey. Hi, Julie.
How are you?
During their careers and during these seasons, Julie and Therese were primarily outside hitters. I think you'd probably call them for their teams. But as you're going to see in tonight's broadcast, they played tremendous floor games. And they both went on to have, excellent careers at college. We may even touch on that. They went to college together and even won a national championship as collegians. But their start was on the high school courts at the IHSA state finals. So Therese, I'm going to start with you. You can make the argument that the gold standard of high school volleyball in Illinois is Mother McAuley. So let's start with maybe what was the expectation, or what was the goal, or what was what was your team shooting for at the start of the season, and maybe what was one of your reflections going into the state finals about how you felt the team was performing?
The expectation was to win. That was a legacy at McAuley, and it was tradition. And then going into that match, I do remember vividly that Sandburg was just really fired up. I mean, they were ready to go, and they were obviously the underdogs. And of course, with having Julie as their leader, we knew they were going to be very good, because Julie Maginot Fahey is not going to go down without a fight.
Right. Well, and you and Julie were friends, or are friends still. You knew each other's games pretty well.
Well, Julie and I, played together since 7th or 8th grade. We started playing club volleyball together, and then of course we went on to play in college together. So I knew her extremely well, and I do know about Sandburg also that they were feisty. I mean, they played great defense. They had great ball control, and they were well coached by Joanne Much. So they had a lot of positives. It was obviously they were the underdogs, like I said. And so it was coming in, we felt really confident, but, in the back of our minds, we knew all these things about them. And you could see it during the match that there were times when Sandburg was gaining on us and beating us. So It was good. It was great to be challenged, because oftentimes we were not challenged.
Yeah, good. How about on the Eagles side of the equation here, Julie? What was the feeling going into the game? What was the, how were things during the season?
I can't remember our record. I think we may have had a loss or two during that time.
Yeah, I think you were 32-6 going into this.
Oh, 32-6. Wow. Okay. So we did have a good team. We had really good chemistry with this group that really built. I feel like from the previous year, my 2 years at Sandburg, and I remember, I just, I mean, as Therese mentioned, Joanne Much was our coach. She was also a volleyball player in the area. Maybe I'm trying to remember where Joanne played. I think it was Spikettes, maybe, for a club. So she was very familiar with the game. She was very competitive herself. She just did a really amazing job of taking athletes and, like honing, skills and making sure that we could find the best lineup, as a team. And she worked on fundamentals every day, which was, sometimes for me felt a little like, because I had played so much club ball, but it turned out to be a really, really key thing for us as the season went on, for sure. She really emphasized it a lot, defense a lot, as Therese mentioned. So she definitely knew how to bring a team together.
You know, no matter the sport, it always maybe comes down to those fundamentals. You know, you really probably can't practice them too much. The team that does those the best over time is probably going to have the most success. Now,
Right.
in game one, I don't want to give away too much, but in game one, Sandburg jumped out to an early lead. I don't know if either one of you remember that, but you jumped out to an early lead. Mother McAuley sort of took control in the middle parts, but you battled right back. I don't know if you have any recollection of that. Was there ever a time that on your end of the equation here, Teresa, you guys felt, you mentioned about being challenged. Did you feel like ever threatened that we better really get our act together here, or we're not going to win this thing?
You know what? We were playing pretty well. It wasn't that we weren't playing well. We were playing well. It was just that Sandburg was playing great at that time. And it was actually, I remember thinking it was really fun because once again, when you go back to it, there were often times when we weren't challenged at all. You know what I mean? I don't think we went even to 3 sets ever. I'm not sure. Kurt, you would know that better than me, but it was fun for us to be finally challenged by a really good team.
Yeah, I think in your quarterfinal match that year, Maine West took a game from you, and you guys.
Yeah, that was it. It was Maine West.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did not play well in that match. I do remember that, but I think against Sandburg, then we played better. And Sandburg was just playing really, really well, and there were some really good rallies.
Yeah. So this I mentioned was the 8th state championship that had been conducted in girls volleyball. So we're really in the infancy, if you will, of girls sports. And so I'd be curious for both of you to reflect a little bit on the impact that playing high school sports had on you and your future lives, and maybe what message you might offer to some of the young girls who are out watching this, playing club volleyball, whatever it might be, as you think about how sports can impact them.
You good, Joel? Do you want to go?
Oh yeah, I could take a stab at that. So my perspective was a little different than Teresa's coming in. So my family had, Teresa and I played club ball together, 7th or 8th grade, and my father got a job transfer to Atlanta, Georgia, when I was going into my freshman year in high school. And so I was fortunate enough to play club ball in Atlanta at a time where, volleyball wasn't a huge sport in Atlanta at the time. But I played for Bob Westbrook, who went on to create a really successful club program down there. I did not play high school volleyball. I only played club down there. The high school volleyball was not terribly competitive at that time. I'm sure that's changed quite a bit. But then we came back to Chicago. I think it was at the end of my sophomore year, but my first season was my junior year at Sandburg. And I was in this mindset of, high school volleyball, I wasn't really tuned in completely. I was more about club and didn't really know, and I was young. So I think what I realized is not only was it very competitive, but it was really a great experience to move away from a club environment, which, has lots of positive things, but to be able to play for your school and have all, the pep rallies and all the things that come with being a part of an academic environment, and to tie in your athletics with that was a big deal. And that was really my first time to really feel that feeling of pep rallies and crowds that were associated with where I was going to school. So that was a big deal. And, I don't think you can replace that. I think, it's a different experience in club, and certainly, there are lots of positive things about playing club. I just don't think you're going to get that same experience.
That's a great perspective. There's really nothing better than being able to wear your high school uniform and represent your school, like you said.
Exactly.
How about for you, Therese? How was your experience,
Well,
and what would you say to the young ones out there?
It's a different journey. I mean, you're with each other every day. You have one day off. Club's a little bit more spread out. It's a longer season. So I think with high school volleyball being every day, there's a lot of unity with your team. You really get to know each other well. And like Julie said, it is a different experience. And I feel like when I go back to our days, you know, some of my best friends today were my high school teammates, you know, and they played club as well, a lot of them, but we still get together. We have a lot of great memories. And I felt like back then when we played, it is different than now. You know what I mean? It's a lot different, but just some wonderful memories. You know, club ball is traveling more. It's a longer season. You might not practice as much every week because like Julie said, the season's different. It's spread out more. So they are very different, which is refreshing. I think a lot of high school players need that little break. You know, I think socially high school is a little different where you're going to football games on Friday nights and then you can compete on some weekends, but not every weekend. So I think it's also healthy for the kids to have that high school experience.
Well, the game has changed a little bit. I want to just sort of preview for the viewers who may not know how volleyball has changed over the years. This is pre-rally scoring days, so we had to get a side out to score. You had to be able to serve to score. And speaking of serving, the server was sort of, I'll use the phrase, restricted to a specific area in which she had to stand in order to serve. So the game has evolved a little bit over the number of years since this championship game was played. Well, Julie,
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, I was just going to say, Julie and Teresa, I want to thank you for your time today. Give us a little behind the scenes look at this 1981 IHSA Girls Class AA Volleyball Championship. It's truly a vintage volleyball classic and worthy of being shown here as a part of this year's series. So thanks again very much. And we're going to take you live to the Prairie Capital Convention Center in Springfield, which is hosting the state finals for its very first time ever.